Hey, Protea Valley family. So we had a little bit of fun and games in our house early this morning. I was busy with staff meeting here online in this room, and as I was busy with the meeting, I heard these shrieks of terror from the passage from my domestic worker, and so I bolted out of the room to see what on earth was happening, only to find the cat was playing quite innocently with a tiny little mouse that it had caught, and I offered to catch it for our domestic worker, and she just went ballistic. She absolutely is terrified of rats and mice. Tiny little mouse, so innocent. I doubt that it can do too much harm. It made me think about our attitude sometimes to the challenges that we face, and we get fearful. We get quite anxious about things that in God's eyes are really quite small. And I'm reminded that time and time again in Scripture, God speaking to his people tells them the simple phrase, fear not. Again and again, don't be afraid. Throughout history, God's people have had challenges. They've had difficult times. They've had war. They've had disease, pestilence. They've been chucked into jail. They have been sent off to exile. They've had terrible conditions and circumstances. And yet throughout those, there's always the deep sense of the presence of God, that he's at work, and that they don't need to be afraid. They just need to trust him. And so it's a reminder to myself, and perhaps a reminder to you about this big God that we love, worship, and serve. Nothing is too difficult or too big for him to handle. So our president made an announcement just a couple of days ago that we are able to meet as groups of 50 as church. We will not be taking up his offer. We've realized from last time that 50 just doesn't make sense. When you consider that we've got team involved in that 50, we've got congregational members, we've got teenagers, we've got children with lots of limitations and restrictions. And then on top of it, some people just don't arrive once booked. And so we've made the call to only start services in the building when we get to 100. That means we will continue to do Protea Valley Church at home. This Sunday is Communion Sunday. It's the first Sunday of the month, so please bring your bread and your grape juice. If you're someone who lives on your own, invite a friend. You are now allowed to do that. Terrible to celebrate Holy Communion alone. I just something missing when one does it on one's own. There's some of a communal aspect to that sacrament, and so do, if you can, share it with somebody else. We will use those Sunday mornings to do some other training. Brent and I have been speaking some time about doing church differently, distributed church, talking about discipleship. We'd love to journey with as many of you as possible in the coming weeks, obviously with the 50 restrictions, but we're going to try and find a mechanism on a Sunday morning to be able to draw you into the building. We will be sending out emails to our life group leaders, ministry leaders, staff, elders, people who are leaders and influential in the life of the church. But if you are currently not one of those people, you're welcome to join us. And so if you have a heart for what God is doing at Protea Valley Church, want to be part of it, and then drop us a note at info@proteavalleychurch.org, and we will give you the details for that Sunday morning training over the next 4 weeks or so. Life groups, connect groups, you now have the opportunity to begin meeting in person. Please take the gap. I know most of you, if not all of you, hate the online version. I think there's very, very few groups that enjoy doing online. Take the opportunity to begin to meet in smaller groups. Social distancing, please follow all the protocols. Stay safe, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your loved ones, those who live around you. But it will be awesome for us to begin to meet together as small communities. Lastly, we are wanting to go off the grid as a building, a church building, and so we're needing people to help us, people who have expertise around that. What does it mean to go off the ESCOM grid? If that is you, please reach out to us. Again, info@proteavalleychurch.org. If you feel that you have something to offer in the form of expertise, time, passion, then do make contact with us, and we will meet with you and see where we can take this. So, closing words again, as my congregational family, I just remind you of our Father's words to us time and time again. Fear not. Don't be afraid. Bless you, Protea Valley Church.